Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. I am excited to introduce our commercial kitchen food incubator in Pasco County and explain how it is a great model for food-based business success. So I want to kind of take you back in time and set the situation. In 2016 to 2017, I worked with several different organizations in our community to put together a needs assessment. And we were looking at a wide variety of things, but we were really focused on economic development and how Extension and some of our area agencies and partners might be able to help individuals, especially with food based businesses. So we put together a needs assessment, and what we found, and I don't think this will surprise many of you, is that we had a lot of people in the community that were looking to start food based businesses. There was a tremendous amount of support and interest in the development, further development, and understanding of our local food systems. And furthermore, an emphasis from the community on folks wanting a local food system that is healthy, that is equitable, that is resilient. And over the last year and a half, we've really seen how resiliency, not just due to weather situations, but even a pandemic, how this local food systems really become a hub of community activity. So we had people that, were really many years ago focused on developing and moving our local food system forward, but they wanted to do this through food-based businesses where they could grow it locally, learn to grow it, source it, make it, package it, sell it, and they wanted to keep it as local as possible. Not just necessarily Pasco County based on that assessment, but regionally. People really in our area look at our local food system as more of a regional food system when they think local. But they want those dollars to originate in Pasco County, and circulate and stay in Pasco County if at all possible. In that needs assessment, we identified some probably not very surprising barriers to these food based businesses. And many of these issues Extension was already tackling in a variety of ways and has been for many years. But what stood out was a lack of knowledge on how to just start a business, a lack of understanding about local and state licenses, laws, regulations, especially when it comes to the cottage food industry, which has fluctuated and changed over the last few years somewhat. There was a need for food safety training and certification, which obviously this is some of the bread and butter for family and consumer sciences in Pasco. There was also a lack of access to local market, to some of the raw resources and materials, and especially streams of funding to help people start businesses. But the main thing that most folks identified as the number one barrier to food based business was the lack of access to commercial kitchen space. And, we had a lot of people that were renting out restaurants early in the morning to do their food prep. That gets very expensive. There's liability that's involved there for the restaurants, and we just don't find those to be long term solutions. So we set out to try to determine how we could remove those barriers. And obviously, for us in Extension, it makes sense that we do that by building partnerships within our communities and sharing resources. So this is an excellent community resource development project that we were looking to help from an economic development standpoint. And because of the last year, it ended up becoming an economic recovery and rebounding project at the same time. So we developed a set of objectives that were really designed around trying to change some of the policies locally to remove some barriers, worked on the local food advisory policy council to get an urban ag ordinance a few years ago passed that would start to remove some of those barriers. And we worked to market some of our training and certification processes as well to help with those barriers. But the one main objective that we set out to work on was sharing of resources through the development of a commercial kitchen incubator space. And so the building you see in this picture is a county-owned facility that we asked to take over. It had been vacant for about 5 years, and they allowed Extension to take it over as a one-stop shop for a wide variety of Extension programming and outreach. But there was an old kitchen space that really wasn't functional for anything. But bringing the resources of University of Florida Extension in Pasco County government providing resources in the building space, Pasco Economic Development Council, we have actually been able to put them through a formal agreement into this building space where they are operating their East Side Pasco um, business, Smart Start, entrepreneurial training. So whatever we were not necessarily able or best equipped to offer the public from a business standpoint and education standpoint, the folks from the EDC are able to offer that. So it was kind of a great partnership. What they couldn't provide, we could, and what we weren't necessarily able to provide or the best to do so, Pasco EDC was able to do so. So they're operating their East Side operations out of this space, and we partnered with a local company, Well Built Incorporated, which is a high-end kitchen supply equipment company. And these guys came in and redesigned that old non-functional kitchen space into an actual commercial kitchen incubator. And you can see some of our chefs that utilize the space. And some of that equipment, which was actually donated, all of that high-end commercial kitchen equipment was donated by Well Built and put into place. So it was highly, highly functional with food safety in mind. You can see our FCS agent right there in the middle, Sherry, teaching a canning class out of this space. So it's perfect for education, perfect for canning and preservation, but it also serves as a place for our food-based businesses to come and prep and process their foods for sale to the public. So how do we gauge the success of this particular program? Well, obviously there's some key performance indicators that you could look at, but really what we wanted to focus on here are the actual outcomes and impacts. So total businesses started to date. Now we opened this commercial kitchen incubator in August of 2019. And to date, we have been able to help start 22 businesses. 14 of those are minority and female owned, 2 veteran owned. 35 new jobs have been created as a result of these businesses in the community. We've had 13 businesses started during the pandemic as a result of job loss. And so people were able to come in, get the training that they needed, and actually turn a dream into reality in a pretty rough economic situation, even as a result of job loss. And we do have right now 4 businesses scheduled to open over the next couple of months. So it's been a highly successful program in 2 years, even during an economic recovery. Basically, it really showed the importance of bringing these resources in the community together, and the power of extension to network and bring these resources forward. Some of these new businesses have even been able to expand during the pandemic into storefronts, food trucks, sales in stores all across the country, in restaurants, and sales online. But there is the rest of the story behind those key performance indicators and the numbers. It's the impacts on people's lives. Just to give you an idea, selling shortbread is kind of a tall order, and trying to make a living off of that alone. But we did have one female Air Force veteran who lost her job in April of last year due to COVID. We got her connected with the EDC to do her entrepreneurial training and to help her with funding streams. We got her trained on food safety certifications, helped her connect with FDACs to make sure her licenses were in order. We provided her with a kitchen space, and within 13 months, she had her own storefront opened on the east side of the county. So, during a pandemic, she opened in May of this year. So, I mean, this is a tremendous success. So we want to look beyond just the individual outcomes and really look at these impacts on individual lives and also local economy. This one individual selling thousands of dollars of shortbread a month online alone, and now she has a storefront. Another one that is spicing up Pasco County is really one of my favorite success stories. We had a high school student and her mother that had an award-winning salsa recipe. The issue was that student was allergic to onions. So she and her mother had put together a recipe that had no onions, but they had nowhere to process and safely package their product. We did again connect them with PEDC to get entrepreneurial training, and they're able to utilize our kitchen to process and package their salsa, and now they are sold online. They are selling through local breweries, grocery stores, and they are even featured in several local restaurants throughout the region. So this has become a favorite salsa. They're still selling at the markets on the weekends, but through all of these different sales opportunities and marketing resources that we've been able to provide, and the space, removing those barriers that we had identified early on, this family is able to fully support themselves on the sales of salsa alone. And that includes supporting a child in school. So, what are our next steps? We really want to look forward to open a West Side Kitchen Incubator in Pasco County. It's a large county, and we get calls all the time to help with development on the west side, and we do have plans in the works. We want to continue to work on policies that help remove any of those barriers to business, food-based businesses in Pasco County and throughout the region. And we really want to have these success stories demonstrate the power of community through the values of extension, innovation, collaboration, partnership, responsiveness to need in variable situations, especially in difficult times, where we can foster healthy people, foster the environment, and foster the economy at the same time. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about our commercial incubator space. I am happy to answer any kind of questions. Feel free to reach out to me. There's my email address, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much.